All right, welcome back to MMA Al Dente. Dusko Todorovic versus Christian Leroy Duncan. It's a compelling matchup. Dusko Todorovic is 28 years old. He's 12-3 overall, and I think I overrated him a little bit when he got into the UFC. Not that I overrated him, but I think my opinion of him has dropped, as I'm sure as yours has yours. His record is 12-3. His 12 wins include 8 via TKO, 3 via submission, and 1 via decision. Seems about right. Only with his TKOs, I bet at least half of them come on the ground. That's who he is. He's like a machine, this guy. You know, he just wants to go through you, get you down, and smash you, like that Daquan Townsend fight, or Jordan Wright, or whoever else. But still, Dusko Todorovic is a breakable guy now. Not that his spirit will be broken, but his body will. I don't trust him as much. He's been defeated by Chidi Njokuani and Punahele Soriano via KO, and the one loss via decision somehow was the Gregory Rodriguez. Robocop Rodriguez. I almost said Hobocop. Anyway, Dusko, while those are forgivable losses, they are still 3 losses, and he's a guy that's up against it here because Christian Leroy Duncan is favored to win. This guy is the Cage Warriors middleweight champion, or was, and he's got a record of 7-0 as a pro. And while that doesn't look great because he's pretty inexperienced there, he's also 17-6 as an amateur. And those losses, while they look like shit compared to a 7-0 record, those losses are probably just as valuable, if not more valuable, than wins. He did lose 6 times, all by decision. And in amateur fights, those are 3-minute rounds. You hit a takedown, it's already enough control to secure the round, pretty much. So, forgivable shit, and that's why they're amateur fights. And now here he is, 7-0 as a pro, and all over good fighters. Most of them over good fighters. Christian Leroy Duncan is, I don't know his reach here. I wasn't able to get his reach, but he's an inch taller than Dusko, and I think he's definitely the more dangerous guy, much more dangerous guy on the outside. Can be wild, but that's typically something you'd say when someone's not successful when they're wild with their wild shit. He is. He's got spinning back elbow, spinning back kick, flying knee, and this shit's at the Cage Warrior Championship level. You know, he's a very dynamic guy, really good striker. I can't say I trust his wrestling too much, but he's learned those lessons throughout, his amateur career. I do think, if you would ask me to describe his next loss, Christian Leroy Duncan, his first loss as a pro, I'd say, yeah, wrestling's the story of that loss. But I haven't seen it yet. And he's looked perfect as a pro, and I do think Dusko, while he is a machine and he's a grinder, just wants to grind you, and grinding means get you down, if not grind you through the fence. Christian Leroy Duncan, I think, is going to be too dynamic for him on the feet and too sound defensively. At least adequately sound to defend against Dusko's attacks, which, he's not Chael Sonnen here. So I'm taking Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm taking him to win by finish. I like him to win by finish in rounds 1 and 2, plus 375 and plus 600. And I sprinkled something under a round and a half for fucking minus 125. But my heart's not totally into that. It's more about the props here because I see this fight one way. Of course, Dusko Todorovic winning wouldn't completely surprise me because Christian Leroy Duncan, this is his octagon debut, and Dusko's been in here fighting better competition. But I think things are trending one way, and Christian Leroy Duncan belongs in the UFC. Dusko may not be long for the UFC. So I'm going with the newcomer. KOs round 1 and 2. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.